Good morning, everybody. AM Live. We are back with Reverend Karen Siegfriedt, the rector of Trinity Episcopal Church in Sutter Creek. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Great. Thanks.
You look fantastic. Thank you. Early in the morning, smile on your face. It's awesome.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about some serious stuff right now.
We are.
The right to die, expanding end-of-life options. This is going to be a talk that is a seminar. It's going to be on Friday, August 28th from 6 to 8 at your church?
No, at the Senior Center here in Jackson.
At the Senior Center, okay.
So it's a community forum.
Very good.
Yeah.
And that's presented by you folks at Trinity Episcopal
We're
Church.
sponsoring it, and we have a couple of guest speakers. And one of which is Dr. Hartman, who's here, and the other one is Marlene Tumlin, and she is from Compassion and Choices, and that's an organization that is really dedicated to end-of-life decision-making.
Sure. So tell us, I mean, this is a big thing these days. What is death and dignity?
Right. So none of us leave the earth alive. There's a 100% mortality rate if you're a human being.
Sure.
But we all die differently, don't we?
Sure,
some people go quickly, some people go slowly and diminished. Some people die young, some people die old.
Sure.
Some people die very peacefully, some people die in pain.
Sure.
So there are decisions to make at the end of life, and there are a lot of options out there. We can have all the medical intervention we want, or we can do nothing.
Sure.
We can take lots of medication, or we can take nothing.
Right.
So we can join hospice, which is a great option,
Absolutely.
or we can decide to continue and die in a hospital and do the traditional medicine. Some people would like to have the freedom when they are terminally ill, they have less than 6 months to live, to have another option.
Sure.
And that option would be to be able to take a medicine so that they can die peacefully and with dignity.
Sure.
Not everybody's death is smooth, and some people are in tremendous pain at the end. And so this is an option, which is not an option in California at this time, but people have wanted to at least explore this option so that they can decide to die with dignity, humanely, without pain.
Sure. And funny you mentioned it's not in California, but Oregon has got something that I suppose we're looking at here.
Right.
And what exactly is that?
Okay, so theirs is called the Death with Dignity Act, and it started back in 1998 where they had that option.
Sure.
It's very interesting. For 15 years they've done the statistics. Only less than 1,200 people have asked to have a prescription at the end of life. And only 65% have taken it. So you're talking about...
It really is an option.
As an option.
Sure.
And I think, well, how it became more popular in California was Brittany Maynard, who was a 29-year-old with stage 4 brain cancer.
I remember that.
She did not want to die the way a person with stage 4 brain cancer would have. So she went to Oregon, she got a prescription, but she lived her life to the fullest. And then when the seizures and the excruciating headaches started to come, she made a decision to take the medicine because there was no medical intervention that they could do to help her.
Right.
So now there is a bill right now before the legislature. It's been reintroduced. It was tabled, now it's reintroduced. It's AB 15. And so this would provide an option, just one option for Californians at the end of life that are terminally ill.
I'd imagine this is probably not the first time they've presented this bill.
Right, right. They presented it not too long ago, and it was closed down.
A lot of opposition.
Well, the majority of doctors and the majority of adults in California want this option, but it's a political hotbed.
Sure.
So nobody wants to have their political... what ditch are you going to die in? You know how this goes.
Exactly.
So, but then it was reintroduced, and I don't know what the impetus behind that was, but there you go. I guess because so many people are interested in it.
California's a big state. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are interested in it.
Right.
You know. So this forum that's coming up is going to talk a little bit about this. What's going to go on during this?
So we're going to just talk about end-of-life options to begin with. You know, people don't want to talk about death. It's something that you hide. In fact, we don't even say, you know, he died, well, he passed, or he's late, right? And so it's bringing that on board. It's also looking at the ethics involved, the pros and cons, the bill itself, and to have people really reflect on their own life. You know, what's going to happen at the end? Some people don't. Sometimes spouses don't even talk about what they want to each other.
I remember when my grandparents, my grandparents were still alive, they would talk all the time. When my parents, had cancer, you didn't talk about stuff like
Yes,
that. It was
yes.
the big C. You didn't mention it. Obviously we've come a long way, but still, if you're terminally ill, or you're dying, people tend not to talk about it.
And it's hard for the person
Sure.
who's dying because they
accept
do.
it.
Well, to accept it, but also they want to talk, and people say, "Oh, don't worry, Ma, you're going to be fine." Well, it's not true. They're not going to be fine. And so how I got interested in this is people would come to me to talk, and they weren't parishioners or anything. So in the last year, 2 people, one of whom was totally paralyzed and in great pain, wanted to talk to his physician about this, and the physician rebuffed him. The second person was way into her 90s, lots of pain, diminishing each day, wanted to talk to her doctor, but she was afraid to broach the subject. So I thought, well, why don't we have an open conversation, a community forum here in Amador County where we can talk about it. People can get information. There's not really any agenda to, only a few people choose this option, but why not bring it out on the table, be honest, open, honest conversation. There's a freedom to that.
Sure. Absolutely. So we're talking about the right to die, expanding end-of-life options. It's a public forum on dying with dignity at the Senior Center on Friday, August 28th from 6 to 8.
Right.
Once again, guest speakers, Dr. Robert Hartman,
Marlene
Tumlin from Compassionate Choices. Or is that a book she wrote?
No, that's an organization.
That is. Okay,
right.
Gotcha.
And they're behind also this bill. But she does lots of hospice and other end-of-life planning, because there are, as we were talking about, many options, and this is just one of many that we need to put out on the table.
And the forum is free.
The forum is free.
It's good to have the info. I mean, it's all about choices.
Right, right.
And you're going to have the opportunity to speak at all?
I am. I'm going to review some of the ethics, some of the religious and historical things, which are, for some people, a major issue.
Big factors to many people.
There are, yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
And so we'll talk a little bit about the history and how we got, it's interesting, they didn't even have intensive care units until about 1959. So people always went,
Really?
yeah. So people just went naturally, and so this was not an issue earlier on, but now as people living longer and longer, and we can keep them alive for pretty much as long as, for a long time. Then
Definitely living